Afternoon, everyone. We are doing a live session. It's 12:39 Pacific time, and I did receive an email from one of our subscribers that had a question on value area high, value area low, point of control, and what they actually mean. And maybe I could share some of that information, and this way it would make these videos a little bit easier to understand. All right, so here we go. So basically, I like to use a couple of different charts when I trade, and this is completely arbitrary. This is what works for me and the way I like to trade. All right. Now, with that said, let's go right into. We're going to use a real-time example of WVE, a position that we're in, and we're going to break it down in a couple of different ways. So hopefully, you guys can understand it a little better. All right. So first, I like to use this 20 period, a 20-day chart that's broken up into 30-minute increments. All right. So one of these represents one day. Okay, each from here to here, from here to here, from here. All right. And these light covers are the after hours and pre-market sessions. Okay. So each one is divided into 20 different sections right here, and then each section is divided into 30-minute candles. So let's just zoom in a little bit more right here. And so each candle right here is divided into a 30-minute period in that intraday. All right. So the theory on the way I like to trade is I like to look at a 20-day chart and then see if a stock is breaking above this value area high to go long, or I would short if it goes below this value area low. Now, what is a value area high, value area low? So this is a one standard deviation. So this is basically where 70% of all those trades happened in that time period. So if you use a 10-day chart or a 1-year chart, they're obviously those value areas are going to change, right? Because you have a larger data set or a smaller data set, so those value areas will change. Now, the point of control right here is where the majority of those shares actually happened, okay? So with that said, and keep that in mind, the theory that I like to use is, stocks that tend to break above this usually indicates that the stock is either going to peak above and then fail, or peak above and then continue, right? So I like to think that if you get a good tailwind in the market and it goes up here and it's above this 20 intraday period SMA right here, okay, usually these stocks tend to run, right? Because again, you'd have to imagine if you've had this stock for the last 20 days and it's been bouncing around, between that value area, right? And then all of a sudden it starts moving. Well, what do? Well, if you're short, you're probably going to run and try to cover your position, right? And if you're long, you're like, okay, great, I'm getting paid now, right? So you're happy, you're in the trade, it's starting to move after you've been waiting for a long. So you're going to hold on. You've held on for this long for the last 20 days. You're probably going to now wait a little longer to see how this all plays out. All right. So with that said, let's move on to the next chart I like to use, because I tend to like to use a couple of different charts. And if you've been with me, you know that. So the second chart I like to use is this 9 SMA. So this is a 9-period SMA, simple moving average, on the weekly. So on this chart, I like to see the price action above this 9 SMA, okay, which is clearly above that 9 SMA on the weekly chart. All right. And then lastly, I like to use this 513 on the daily chart. Now, this is the 5 EMA, which is an exponential moving average, and this is the 13 EMA, which is the 13 exponential moving average. Now, when the 5 crosses the 13, either above it, that usually means an uptrend is just about to happen. And in this case, you can see the 5 moved above the 13 at $9.16, and it's gone all the way to 16. Okay, so this is another metric I like to use to either get in long my positions or get out of my positions. Okay. Lastly, I like to use, and this is why I did get into WVE, was because now I'm bringing this histogram, that value area high, value area low situation on the daily chart right here. So if you look at this on the daily chart, value area high was 12 bucks right up here, right? So now once we get above this value area high right here, and if you take a look at this instance and this histogram where all the shares were traded above here, that's not a lot of shares. Usually, I'm going to bring this up on another chart just to show you what I mean. So there's not much inventory or shares traded above this area. So that means there's very, very little resistance, right, for this stock to move higher because there's not many people who, quote unquote, are stuck in the stock at these levels that are going to say, hey, I got my money back. I'm going to sell it. Does it happen? Absolutely. But since that value area high is below us and there's very little shares above us right here, that usually portends a higher move. All right, guys. Hopefully that was informative for you guys. Let me quickly show you a stock with a lot of inventory above that value area high. Let's see if we could find one real quickly before I let you guys go. Here's one called NET. Let's hopefully it loads up here quickly. Okay. Okay. Well, it seems like my system is not loading up. All right, guys. Well, unfortunately, I can't show you that. But if you do have any more questions, please go ahead and contact me. I would really appreciate it. If it's still kind of all Greek to you, go ahead and shoot me another email. Maybe we could do a one-on-one session, and I could explain it better. All right, and you could ask me specific questions. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you to all my subscribers.